You're listening to Breakfast with Pablo on Spirit 1260 Karratha.
Earlier this morning we caught up with social commentator and author Caro. She's making her way here for the Pilbara Pulse next month, and I wanted to talk to her about marketing and what future she sees for the Pilbara.
Spirit.
Now, something that's really interesting up here in the Pilbara and something that's been talked about a lot is the Pilbara Cities Project and the target that the Pilbara wants to reach 50,000 by 2035. You actually think that's doable?
I would think so, yes. I think that, particularly if you develop the infrastructure and the sense of adventure and difference, whether or not that 50,000 people will be constantly there, but some of them will, and some of them will come and go. There is a romance about the kind of distance and isolation and difference that places like the Pilbara have to offer, and lots of people are attracted to that. And from what I'm hearing, there's an awful lot of interesting work going on in terms of creating the kind of infrastructure that people expect in a town these days. So why not go to the Pilbara and stay there?
Now, I know that you're not too keen on swimming or running, you mentioned that, but where the Pilbara Pulse is going to be at is the new Leisureplex, and it's amazing facilities, and I think after your seminar on the night, maybe put the bathers on and do a few laps in the new Leisureplex.
In your dreams, Pablo. In your dreams.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, Jane, because obviously we want a lot of people to come to the Pilbara, the 50,000 by 2035. If we want people to come to Karratha and stay in Karratha and encourage more visitors, we need a tourism slogan. Now, on Grew and Transfer, you've looked at bad ads, you've looked at good ads over the years. Can we come up with a slogan for Karratha?
Well, only if you've got a lazy 10 grand to pay me to do it. I think the thing about coming up with a slogan is it really is quite serious work. You need to get a brief, you need to do your research, you really need to think about it, because there's slogans which are catchy and kind of funny, and then there are slogans that actually hit on something that really makes a difference to people. So I'd be very loath to do it instantly. I think I'd be just playing a game, being silly. And also, I'm sorry, I'm brain dead this morning. I can't think of anything.
I want to ask you about social media, because it's absolutely huge these days. And how important is it for personal brand and for businesses out there to have a social media presence these days?
Well, it's very important for your personal brand. I think it's for individuals who want to build a profile. Twitter in particular is important. I tend to think of Facebook as being a more personal form of social media, and Twitter is more public. The thing I think that businesses have to get used to is that in the world of social media, the business cannot control the interaction. The consumer, the customer, the responder, the audience controls the interaction. So you really have to be very open and very honest and very candid. You have to be prepared to accept negative responses and negative feedback and be seen to deal with them publicly well and with good manners and grace. And a lot of businesses find that hard to do because they're very frightened of anything negative. My view is, unless you're able to deal with the negative in a really grown-up kind of a way, you're better off staying off social media, except to make sort of announcements about certain things, because social media really is a conversation, and it's a non-hierarchical conversation. It doesn't prioritise a large corporation or even a business, and that's hard for a lot of businesses to get their head around. Smaller businesses are better at it because they tend to have an individual at the helm. Large businesses are still struggling.
Yeah, I think you find that a lot, and I think it's really interesting when you see small businesses online. They're often very interactive with their consumers, and they respond. And then when you get these big corporations, and their wall is often just filled with negative comments, and it seems like it's just going to no one because no one's responding either.
And that looks really bad. You can actually snatch victory from the jaws of defeat by dealing with complaints in a really good manner. You can turn what appears negative at first into a real marketing opportunity, because we know no organisation, no business, no human being is perfect. Everybody makes mistakes sometimes. My husband often says life is the art of recovery. It's not actually about never making a mistake or never getting anything wrong. It's about how do you deal with that when it happens. And that's where businesses have a real chance to impress.
Now, if people would like to complain about this interview, you can always tweet Jane at Caro on Twitter. Let her know what you think about her this morning.
Spirit.